bags. Gotta be more than $35,000, otherwise we wouldn't do it. No percentages, just numbers. Give it a go. How much? 36? More than 36,000.
No, in a mesh sock.
Huh?
They go the 1,000 oysters in a mesh sock.
Yeah. They're going in this basket. This basket is a 3mm basket. Why 3mm? Because the holes are 3mm. And it also depends on what the oyster farmer wants those oysters to do. So nowadays you can either put them all the way down low to focus on shell growth, in the shallow water to focus on meat growth, and out of the water to focus on hardening their shell. So when you take them out, they go at lots of 1,000 go in here from 8 to 12 weeks. Why 8 to 12 weeks? 8 weeks. It just depends on the food source. So 8 weeks for summer, 12 weeks for the winter. And then he comes out again, we trade the oysters again, and another time the lots of 500 goes in here. Another 8 to 12 weeks. The oyster farmer comes out again, takes out the basket. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. I think she was on a tour here yesterday, weren't you? Yes, indeed. It's $1 million. That one bag of oysters will have a profit of $1 million. It's good profit, but also very costly. But we'll talk about that later. After you have that 1 million baby oysters, somebody has the fun task of dividing them in a lot of 1,000. And 1,000 baby oysters will go in here. So 1,000 oysters will go in there, and then after that, the oyster farmer would come by, would take it out, and grade the oysters. Grading, in essence, means sorting by size. I will, sorry. Talk about grading more later, when I will come back to that. And oysters every day. So you can imagine that it wouldn't be there anymore. Sorry guys. So that was just a little bit of the history of the oyster. Going back to the oyster farming. Now when we start oyster farming, we need baby oysters. And the baby oysters, when we get them, they would come in bags of 40 kgs. Because the baby oysters would only be as big as your pinky nail, only 6-7 millimeters. So just a bag, 40 kgs. And up till 2016, we would get those baby oysters from hatcheries in Tasmania. I don't know if you all saw your oyster-related news back in 2016. Pelican went overboard, so did that basket. So we don't have the basket unfortunately anymore. She also doesn't work here anymore. She was a little bit traumatized after that. But that's alright because Melissa and me have a new job as a tour guide. So, thank you Pelican. No, just joking. So, 250 in a 6mm basket. We go into the next basket. The 12mm basket. Why is it called 12mm basket? Because the holes are 12mm. A lot of 125 go in here. Another 8 to 12 weeks. And you're wondering, what are they doing in here? Well, hopefully feeding and growing. And they feed on something called phytoplankton. Phytoplankton is coming from the continental shelf near the Nile Bay. You guys remember the bays that I was talking about earlier? Nile Bay, Smoky Bay and all of them? The difference between the bays here and there is that here the bay is a closed bay and there the other bays are open. So which means that the phytoplankton goes just one way in and just stays in the bay. Which also means that these boys behind us are just eating all day. That's how also the oysters get more meatier. So after that, after this basket, we are going to the last and final basket. The 20mm basket. No, I'm not going to ask you why it's called a 20mm basket. Haven't figured that one right out. Thinking about it. So, but in exchange for another free oyster, and I think she shouldn't play anymore. Joking. the last one right too. How many oysters do we put in this basket? Anyone want to take a guess?
1,000
Less than 100 and more than 36.
1,000
50? More than 50.
1,000
70.
1,000
Little bit less than 70?
65.
No. 60! Yeah!
อยู่บนนะมาเมากว oyster ป่ะ
So if you're right-handed, you're gonna wear your glove on your left hand. If you're left-handed, on your right. Good.
นี่คือใจเอายิงระเบียบเรียนกวของมันนะวันอะไร
So you are right-handed. So you are gonna use it on your left. In the other one. Because you're gonna hold your oyster with your left hand. So there are 3 people here. นี่นะตะไคร้ให้ดึงต้องโหลดตะไคร้หน่อย
ว่าบอกนะว่ามันบุ้งกรอบ
In sorting all those oysters. And after a while they would catch on and not come back to my barbecues anymore. That's why we invented something called a tumble grater. So a tumble grater is a long PVC pipe that has a spinning motion. And in that PVC pipe there are different holes in it. So when the oysters go in and the tumble grater is just keep on going, the oysters will fall in the right size hole. Which is a good start, but unfortunately not very gentle on the oysters. They're very fragile and not very good. So what we decided to do, that long PVC pipe, is put some water in. So now it's more of a swishing motion for the oysters, which is very nice for the oysters, but only good for the oyster that are 1 to 2 centimeters big. After that, the oysters are too big and just chilling all day long in that pipe, which is not very helpful. That's when 25 years ago, and Tasmania was a long conveyor belt with a camera on the top, just looking at the different oysters going back. When they're on the right side, just puffs of air coming out. So they have the conveyor belt. When there's an oyster there, the right side for that basket, just a puff of air, and it goes all in the right basket. Very useful because it can grate up to 70,000 oysters in 1 hour. Imagine how many drunk friends that would take. I think a little bit more than 70,000, wouldn't it? So, just a quick history lesson on that and how oyster farming is going. Now, Melissa and me will show you how to shuck an oyster. I'm just going to go around and show you. But before we do that, is there anybody left-handed? Me. 2 people? Oh, sorry guys, that's the end of the tour for you guys. We'll see you guys.
Lisa says that.
Put 60 in. 60 right in there.
โอ้นี่ដាក់ oyster ហ្នឹង
And then after
ប៊ីវាបន្ទាប់មក
the oysters will be
ចូលទី
considered
2ចូលទី 3 បងប្អូនបងប្អូននេះ
why play size?
បាទ
Because we
នេះ
can
វិ
fit
ធី
in
សាស្ត្រចិញ្ចឹមគេប្រើធុងបងប្អូនមក
There we go. And I know you guys want to dig into that oyster and start eating them. We're not there quite yet. I just will cover grading real quick. Because back in the 1970s, we didn't know how to start. So what we will do, we come up with a creative solution. We just invite everybody over, all your friends, family, for a barbecue. Get the drinks going, have a good feed, and then invite them over to the shed for some drinking game. Everybody's a little tipsy, you open up the shed, bam, 1 million oysters ready to be hand sorted.